Welcome to episode 94. I have my boy Dennis Ortiz here from Ozone Lair Media. Dennis, welcome to the show, man.
Man, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Much like you said, man, sometimes the enemy trying to, interfere with what God has already
That's
created.
right.
And we're working, operating in faith here, man.
That's right.
There's no turning back. There's no, stopping the process, God's process for at that. And so, yeah, no, man, I'm glad to be here with you. Yeah, I know you were over at our platform some time
Yes,
ago.
sir.
You and your wife, and we were so honored to have you there. Shout out to my boy Rick and Liz. Congratulations to them on their newborn. As I was saying, I have so much appreciation for them both. I got to do what I did in Ozone Layer Media in big part because of Rick's effort, Liz's support, and they're in a phase where they're getting ready to welcome their baby. So we're looking at taking a step back right now. I'm honoring him in that way to allow him that time and space. Ozone Layer Media will still be around. We're just gonna, like I said, be patient and let Liz and Rick have their moment. And in the meantime, there's a lot going on this end as well. As you know, with the opening of United Market
Yes,
and
sir.
a few other grocery stores that are coming down the pipeline. It's just wheels keep turning, and God keeps working, and I'm just showing up in the best way possible to
Absolutely.
serve.
Yeah, man. And so everybody is aware. You know, we Dennis and I had a conversation this morning. We started kicking off the episode. We had some weird technical stuff come up, and we are living out our values right now by pressing forward and going ahead with
Amen.
God's blessing, right? Which we've asked for this conversation. And Dennis, one of the reasons why I'm so honored to have you on the show today is because of the respect that you showed Stephanie and I in hosting us on Ozone Layer Media, and who you continue to be and how you continue to show up in my life, man. And um, we had talked about in our previous discussion just about your what your grandmother had told you
Hmm.
as a young man, and I would love to just for everybody to kind of hear that, to kind of set the stage for what we're going to talk about later on in the episode. But if that sounds good to you, I would love to hear that part of your story, and
Absolutely.
let
Yeah. No.
let people
It's
hear that.
100%, man. For those people that know me, they know that my great grandmother was a huge influence in my life. She took care of me the first 14 years of my life. And when I came north, there's a few words that she said to me that just have stuck with me all these years. And she essentially told me to go and make a man of myself, and left it open, left it open in that way. And it was for me to figure it out. But that became very heavy at some point, in my journey. Always exerting myself, pushing myself, trying harder, and working, very hard at trying to become this man that I was supposed to. And graduating high school with honors, going on to the Air Force, also graduating with honors from
Yeah.
tech school there, getting done with that and moving on to starting my bachelor's degree, which it was essentially what I went in the military for. What was so that I can pay my way through school. And so I got my bachelor's degree in business administration, and then went on to get in my master's degree in business from KU, and all of that. While working 50-hour weeks, raising a family. and still managing to get 3, 4 workouts per week.
Yeah.
Taking 12 to 15 credit hours per semester, and and it was just looking back, I'm like, that's insane. I don't know how I did it. But there was a lot of compromising things along the way, sleep, my health, even family, and so it was one of those things that for a long time it was just exerting myself so hard to become this man that I was supposed to be. And here recently I had a conversation with a friend, and I was asked, did I become that? And I essentially, feel like I've arrived. I was asked, how does he feel? And I can tell you that it feels effortless now. I so sort of like I've relaxed into it. I don't have to exert myself anymore. I feel like there's nothing I need to prove to anybody, and I just try to be myself, my authentic self, as much as possible. To show up. With the gifts that God has given me and blessed me with, and the relationships, and just the overall experience of life. I embrace it fully, because at the end of the day, it's uh it's what God has given me, and I'm grateful for all of it. People like yourselves, like Rick, and I just show up with that intention to serve, to create, and I tell you what, man, it, that I don't have to try, and the people that actually are meant to be part of that experience, they find themselves, gravitating towards, because we have some sort of common goal of creating and intertwining energies to uh, amplify, that frequency to create, to project something of value that people that we can touch people's lives with, and at the end of the day, that's what I feel, I'm here for. It's just, I've said this before, and it's that I'm just trying to create a beautiful reality that I can share from a place of love with those people I'm blessed to have in my existence, and that's sort of becoming my north star. And um I sometimes I'm not sure exactly how to go about it, but I show up with curiosity, when I wake up. I do understand that, and it is not by my own capacity or understanding that it all happens, that I heavily rely on a creator, that I'm just in some sort of way a conduit,
Yeah.
or a co-creator with God. And I just I try to prepare myself as much as I can, right? Prepare the vessel as much as I can to be utilized in whichever capacity that he wants to utilize me in, whether
You
that
know,
is uh, whether that is in operations and project management,
yeah.
nonprofit, podcasting, anything. It could be anything or all of it. It doesn't have to be one thing.
I love how you lead with, like, in your Instagram bio, for example, faith anchored creator, and how when you talk about what you do, you're using that word
Mhm.
intentionally, creating value, creating partnerships, creating energy, amplifying with purpose. And I feel like so often, us human beings, we can get, lost in the sauce of why we're doing what we're doing, or we can get bogged down with the tactical tasks that we need to execute on to make bigger things happen.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
we just wish the big thing would come and like we could think
Mhm.
and it could exist. But the thing that one of the things I'm especially grateful for to call you a brother is and how you inspire me, right? I've said it before. I've stopped quoting famous people as much. I'm now quoting the people that I get to call my friends more.
Yeah, that's
I'm
awesome.
quoting my guests more. Um, when God gave me the vision for KCBC, it was start having extraordinary conversations with ordinary everyday people. And I
Mhm.
understand that ordinary people, some people take offense to that because everybody wants to consider themselves extraordinary. And I would
Mhm.
say, too, my wife, uh, you know, some of my friends in my church network, I would put you and Rick absolutely in that quarter. I could take the position that there's nothing ordinary about you all. I could
Mhm.
easily say that, but what I love about what we're doing on our platforms is we're just inviting people that haven't written a New York Times bestseller. They haven't done a TED Talk. They're doing those types of things without recognition in our community, not asking for praise necessarily. In
Mhm.
fact, a lot of the people, the servant leaders that we're having, on our platforms and that we're engaging with, they were going to do it whether we had them on the show or not, or whether they got recognized or not. Like that's just their default state. But
Yeah.
going back to you, what I love about when I hear you speak is that I know you're a man that backs up what he says with the curiosity and the willingness to roll up your sleeves and do the hard work.
Mhm.
So many people have a vision and they start to get into all of the hard work, the thankless work, the mundane, the long hours, the long nights, the doing it without any recognition, and they go, "Man, this really sucks. I don't like doing the work." And that's where a
Mhm.
lot of visions die. But what I've been so inspired by with you is like you live that Kaizen, right? Like I've got the kanji characters back there.
Mhm.
Kaizen means continuous
Oh
improvement.
man, I'm sorry, brother. That
You
that
know
could be
what?
edited out. That could be edited out,
That
right?
can be edited out. Yeah.
Uh,
Or I might leave it in just cuz I think again just highlighting the fact that you know, it's just comical at this point, Dennis. It's just funny to me, dude.
oh
I love it.
God.
I love it, bro. Like so for those of you listening in, obviously all of you up to this point, we have had a comical amount of technical difficulties in this episode. It's just funny right now. Like I'm just laughing about it because
Uh-huh.
I'm like I know people need to hear what we're talking about, right? And
Uh-huh.
so to what we were talking about, Dennis, the fact that you understand that relationship between strategic action and tactical action, and that
Uh-huh.
you have applied yourself to go for your degrees, to explore project management. We've
Uh-huh.
talked about lean process improvement before, and that is what has qualified you tactically for
Uh-huh.
the missions that God is sending you on right now, like United Market. So
Uh-huh.
I know I just said a lot, right?
No, it's all good. It's all
But
good.
if we can go to United Market, the blood, sweat, and tears that went into that project, the
Uh-huh.
fact too, Stephanie and I were there on the grand opening. Everybody and their mother literally was there. The 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 cops that were doing security, they were all smiles. Cars were double parked. They were parked on the curbs. They were blocking entrances, and everybody was like so glad that that market opened up. And we went in there. It was beautiful. The prices were incredible. The service was incredible. The vibe was just popping, dude. And I know about some of the behind the scenes stuff that you and the team had to work on to get that going. But man, what has that been like? And
Man.
now we're a few months out, right? But like, if you, whatever you want to talk about, Dennis, just the process of
Mhm.
preparing or what you're learning now. But bro, that was a huge blessing to the community.
100%. 100%, man. It's been quite a journey, man. And honestly, Michael, sometimes it just feels like I'm in the passenger seat, and
Yeah.
that I'm just allowing God to really take me where it is, because honestly, um, I didn't see it. I was talking to my mom some time ago, and shout out to moms. You got an opportunity to meet her. She's now the
Helen
Hispanic Chamber of
Ortiz.
That's exactly right. She's now the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce president. She recently
Gotcha.
just took on that role. But I uh, I was telling her that some time ago, and this was about 3-4 years ago, so it hasn't been that long, Michael, that we found ourselves post pandemic without a job. Her on the sales side of things and me on the operation side of things. We happen to be working for the same company around that time. And, you know, I had just finished my master's degree, and I had all these expectations after all that work that I put in for all those years. I thought, man, on the other side of this is going to be all kinds of job opportunities, breaking six figures. And man, I had all these things in my mind, and I get on the other side of that, and it's COVID. And
Yeah.
and now I'm unemployed for the first time in my life. And I'm thinking, like, what is going on? This is not what it was supposed to look like. And so my mom was in a bad headspace at the time, right? She's 56 years old. She didn't know how to reinvent herself, and she was scared. I think a lot of us were, and I just told her, I said, "Hey, mom, we need to get into real estate. That's where what we need to do." And we started. She didn't want to. She said, "I'm too old to be going to school." And I said, "Look, let's just go to the classes, take the test, and we'll take it, one day at a time." So we're going to, to these classes where she actually ended up uh passing the test before I did, because I got to working again. Um and at this point, man, I started a cleaning company with my ex at the time too. And so it was just really reinventing myself. For a long time, I thought that the key to success was, climbing the corporate ladder, working, going to school, working hard. And I thought that was the recipe, and I learned otherwise. I mean, I learned a lot along the process. I worked for, uh, military and private sectors, corporate and union environments, small operations, all the way to 100 plus employees, throughout my experience in production and distribution, assembly type roles. But it was something very interesting about creating something from nothing, like even as simple as a cleaning business. Um, and I realized that, man, within a year and a half, we more than double my income,
It's incredible, bro.
cleaning houses. My mom and I were still, doing real estate to the best of we can do at the time. I know that I've always been I've always liked to do things differently. I just I try to look at things from a different perspective, try to go against the norm, because I feel like there's a lot of opportunity there. And at the time, everybody was cold calling, door knocking. That was the name of the game. And I told the team at the time, I said, "Hey, we need to get involved in the community and start doing work there."
Yeah.
And I said, "Let's start with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and then go from there." They weren't really big believers of that strategy. It was going to be more of a long term strategy. And I went and got a membership. I started hitting up networking events, and when I got there, I said, "Hey, mom, you gotta come and check this out." And I tell you what. My mom is a master networker. I
Yeah,
mean,
she is,
I
bro.
don't know of anybody else that has the gift as much as she does. I mean, she
Brother,
knows how. It's
not
incredible.
I don't wanna interrupt you, but I wanna add a point to that, that when we got into the store, we had
Mhm.
been waiting in line because, the lines, everybody was there that day in grand opening, and we
Mhm.
saw Helen still at that front door giving every single person a hug, shaking every single person's hand. Like, if she was tired, I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
If she was
Yeah.
exhausted, I couldn't tell. She was truly welcoming every single person to that store. And so I
Right.
just wanted to pause as a moment of respect for that, her being a master networker. That's where I interrupted you to say that. But your mom, absolutely.
Yeah,
It's
and so she
yeah,
did, she flourished in those environments, man.
yeah,
The minute we got there, it was clear that um she was in the right place and started opening up doors,
in
just kind of
Hispanic chamber.
and networking in general.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because
Okay.
we hit so many different events, man, across the city. We started getting involved in nonprofit activities, and because you get engaged in the community and you realize how much need there is,
Yeah.
and so it's almost hard to not get drawn in to want to serve and do something. I became the ambassador of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the chair of the ambassadors, and she joined the board. Then we started doing nonprofit work for with Big Brothers Big Sisters. We did
Mm,
Kansas City Most Wanted. After that, we she did Dancing with the Stars for Crystal Ray.
that's right.
I went on to doing
Yes.
Band of Angels. I was a rock star for Band of Angels, and so every year it
Yeah.
seems like we were picking up initiatives and doing things to public relations, I guess you can call it, but we didn't even know what it was at the time. At the time we're just in this ride, and we're in the community, we're engaged, we're serving, and she's elevating, she's positioning herself as a person of influence. I became sort of like her brand manager, if you would, and it started honoring my mom, I guess, in that way. I and helping push her story, and at the same time doing some initiatives on my own. I managed some music videos for a local artist, including Rick. Actually, we
Yeah.
did some projects together. Um, at this time, also getting into content creation, podcasting, and things of that nature. And so we were in this space where it was just creating opportunities at this point, through networking and connections, and so at the same time we're doing real estate. I always worked on referral basis because I've always been on the and the background and the back end, just kind of helping orchestrate some of these things, and so we were doing that, for quite some time, Michael, and with no results. I could tell you that. I mean, at some point you really do kind of question the journey, like, am I in the right,
Mm,
am I going in the right path? Are we doing the right thing? Why are we doing all this for, when you don't quite see the fruits of your labor, the efforts that you put in don't match the results, man. Is you at
mm,
this point you're operating purely out of passion and faith, because there's nothing indicating that what you're doing is in fact going anywhere or is working, right? And so we're there was a lot of struggles. There was times where I had to talk my mom from throwing the towel, and there was times where she had to kind of talk me into staying on course. And so,
Mm.
there was a lot of that for a long time, on top of going through our own personal journeys of struggles, and the families and, life happening before us. And me with the divorce, her with a lot of other personal stuff with my brother and things like that. And so, you're juggling all of this at the same time that you're trying to create something from nothing, because there's no point of reference in our family line. There's no, it's never
Brother.
been done. It's never been done. We're essentially doing this for the first time, and not sure exactly how, right? And but we're pressing, we're moving, we're continuing to show up, continuing to work on some of these things. And
Can I
um
stop you right there real quick,
yeah,
Dennis?
go ahead, yeah.
I feel like that needs to be, I want advice from you. Um, and I think this is a point a lot of people, in our space they're at right now. They're wondering about the effort and the results. Um, if you can recall, how did you and Helen figure out what the next right move was in those moments?
Man,
Uh,
we
like what?
didn't, bro. I honestly could say
Okay.
that we didn't. The only thing we knew was that, hey, let's just go to the next event, you know. Let's just have that next initiative, whatever that is, and we just continue to just bounce ideas and try different things, I've always believed that was one thing. I always believed in her
Mm,
story, and I believed in her when she didn't believe in herself. And I think she did the same thing for me too. And so it was wild, because I think that we served for each other in that way, and that I was able to see her future, a vision for her
mm,
life that she couldn't see herself, and vice versa. And what's crazy is that the vision that I had for her is far greater than I even imagined. So that's one thing that we have to realize, that whenever you're dealing with being aligned with God's purpose, it's always going to be a surprise, because it's far better than you can ever imagine. And
oh
you know
man.
and uh, and understanding, brother, that I mean, you're not always in control, that there is a higher power, and you have to trust that. You have to trust that, and lean into that faith, because you have to essentially um get to a point where uh you're looking past your circumstances. And you have to understand that, like, let's say, creation is finished, right? In the sense that you're living in yesterday's thoughts and memories, right?
Right.
And so, what are you creating right now that is going to give you, a chance to experience a better reality a few years from now, right? And so, you have to believe, and you have to have that faith, and have that certainty, like it says in Hebrews 11:1, right? I mean, it's the things, faith is I can't recall it right now, but I know we
Hebrews
talked
11,
about,
right?
yeah, one. And it's just that, brother.
Do you
But what
want me
I
to read it?
please.
Hebrews 11:1. This is the NIV, faith in action. Now faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. This is what
Exactly.
the ancients were commended for. And then it continues to go
Amen.
on. By faith, we understand that the universe was formed as God's command, so that what
Uh-huh.
is seen was not made out of what was visible.
But
And I'm so tempted to just do a little DBS, a little Discovery Bible study with you right now on that, bro. But I just wanted to make sure that as you said that, we actually did drop drop the word there.
Right.
Oh,
But it's that, right? It's that, I was talking with a friend yesterday, and I think, we're just kind of geeking out about manifestation, and it's like, envisioning the possibilities, right, of what could be, and then sort of aligning your thoughts, right, with that possibility. But the Dr. Joe Spencer talks about how there is this coherence between what your thoughts and your emotions are, and as
yep.
you sort of fixate your vision on that possibility, and your thoughts and emotions are coherent, you are amplifying the signal towards that future reality. And so that's like when you start describing faith in a practical way, that's how it works,
Right.
and but you have to, like I said, even believe, ag in spite of your immediate reality,
Oh, absolutely. Joe
and so
Dispenza
that's
was go ahead.
no, no, go ahead.
Joe Dispenza was very instrumental for me, in some really hard times in my life, and I had some
Mhm,
friends who were believers that said, "Oh, that's the quantum mechanics guy. That's the guy that,
mm,
believes you can, repair injuries through your mind and all that stuff, and, it's not godly and all that." But I think
mhm,
God can use anyone, anything, and information that honestly he's the author of. God is the author
mhm,
of all of this. And if somebody like Joe is coming along and cracking some of the code, as with a
mhm,
lot of these folks that get hyper focused
mhm,
on certain things, that can be used as well. And I'll tell you what, I have 3 of his books. There's the one, it's a really thick book. Maybe I'll drop it in the show notes, but he really got into that because he wrote that from a very deep, painful, personal place. I think Joe was
mhm,
in a really bad accident back in the day, right? Like he was
mhm,
paralyzed or he had a spinal injury or something. And so I think that it's so important for us to find God everywhere in information. And
mhm,
that I love how you said that's a practical way to practice faith too. Like
mhm,
it's so important that we do that and that we don't have a
mhm,
myopic view of how God works, I
mhm.
guess, you know?
Right. No, it really is, man, because anything that can help you shift your psyche in a way where you can vibrate at a higher level, right? And
100%.
what I mean by that is, what kind of emotions are you constantly feeling, right? Is it joy? Is it peace? Is it love? Right? Or is it, anxiety, fear, and all, because that's essentially sometimes what you see out there. And I try the best that I can to feed my senses with the right stuff, so that I can stay at that frequency, so that I can believe, so that I can create, and it's starting to be, like I said, more effortless, and starting to understand that there's certain things that I don't need to worry about. I don't need to worry about where money's going to come from anymore. I mean, that's not my job. That's a creator's job. My job is to show up and serve in the best way
Yeah.
that I can. And so that's how, I ended up here at United Market. And it's because, like I said, God's vision is far greater than we can imagine. And with the journey with my mom, and everything else, we didn't see things being like this. And now, mind you, uh that's not to say that we've arrived. In fact, we're just getting started. We just now seeing that what's possible, but now it requires something from us. We're here at the opportunity, and it requires that we show up with intention, and ready to do the work, because it's a lot of work to be done. It's a lot of
The
work to be
harvest
done.
is
And
plenty. It's the harvest is plenty and the workers are few, right?
man,
We need to
I
be
tell you
praying for
what,
more workers, man.
man, it is insane how much. how much work there is to do, man. And I was fortunate enough, like I said, to land in this role. Again, when God starts moving pieces in your life and orchestrating things in your existences, it all happens, in its time. And I ended up without a gig. I think I met you right around that time, and it's part of the
Yeah, when
reason
you
why
say
when
this role, which role are you talking about? Is this is your
I'm talking
project?
about I'm talking about the project management role for United Market,
That's right. That's right.
other projects that are coming down the pipeline. So it was around the time that I met you that I ended up without a gig.
I remember the day you called me.
Mhm,
I remember
yeah.
it like it was yesterday.
I was scared. I was scared. I ain't gonna lie.
Yep.
I didn't know what was how I was gonna take care of things, take care of bills, and the financial responsibility that you have when you have a daughter in college, a 3-year-old that I have to also raise. And so
Yeah.
I was scared. I was scared, and I didn't know what was gonna happen, and I get a call from Anthony, my mom's significant other. Shout out Anthony, man. He's been a great
Yeah,
mentor
man.
in my life, and is one of the few men that I look up to. He's a man of integrity, a man of leadership, and I do have a lot of respect for him, and I'm glad to be working under his wing. And he says, "Hey, man, we're getting ready to open up a store. I could use your help." And that was 3 days after after I lost my job. And so the timing couldn't be any better. And so I didn't, to tell you the truth, man, I thought I knew a lot about entrepreneurship, man, but
Mm.
opening up a grocery store has been a humbling experience, man. I felt like I was just uh like I was um like a new guy all over again. Like I didn't know like I didn't know anything about anything. And
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, this is crazy that how much more
And
I need to learn.
remember your background too was working in food operations and food logistics, right?
Yeah.
And so for
Yeah.
you to feel like the new guy in opening
hmm
a grocery store, that's that's a that's a mind melding experience for people.
it
So
is
I just
incredible.
wanted to
You're
make
talking
sure because
about
I know your story.
we that you're talking about 20 plus years of experience in operations,
That's right.
master's degree in business, yeah, yellow
Thank you.
belt, Lean Six Sigma,
Thank you.
and all this experience in wholesale and distribution. But man, retail is a different, it's a whole different animal. There is a lot more proximity to the end customer. There,
Mm,
especially when you're opening up a grocery store in a food desert. Now you're starting to see the reality of things. Operating in the inner city, bro, is it's been humbling. It's been humbling. It changed my entire paradigm of what I had about just people in the inner city, and just human relations, man. It's
tell us
you
what you
know
learned,
uh,
bro. What have you learned?
Man, I've learned that there's a lot of good people in the inner city, bro.
Yeah, bro.
There's a lot of good people. There's a lot of need in the inner city, bro. Like this is going to be a mind-boggling statistic for a lot of people, but most people in the inner city live in $59,000 per household, not per capita, per household. And that's insane. And I'm like, man, there's real struggle. People that really depend on government programs. And because sometimes you hear people say like, oh, they just used to getting help. The majority of these folks, bro, they don't have a transportation. They have been. They almost have to stay in the radius because they depend on and the transportation system. And so it's a real struggle. It's a real struggle out there, you know, and it's so easy to judge from the outside. But once you get in the inside and you start realizing that there's people with good intentions, hardworking people that want to see their community do better, you know, and so and all they need is a chance, bro. It's
That's right.
incredible, and I'm getting a little emotional, bro, because
Oh, same, brother.
my
It's
God,
okay.
I have to I have to say this. I have to say this, Michael. In honor of JoJo. Yesterday we went to do a balloon release for this kid that he is from the inner city, man. He came in as a volunteer when we were opening United Market, and you know, he was homeless. You know, he didn't have a spot, or a place. You know, and um he interviewed I interviewed him, and I remember looking at his application. I was hesitant, man, because of his image. I remember his torn up jeans, and it's so easy to judge, but something told me that he needed a chance, and I remember I hired him. And during orientation, while we're doing orientation, we're talking about, just um, the policy, right, of how you're supposed to look in front of the public, and, not having any torn jeans. And I remember vividly we made eye contact across the room, and he smiled and I laughed, and we knew exactly what it was, and he came to me after the orientation and said, "I'm gonna I'm going to get a new pair of jeans. I'm waiting for my paycheck,
Mm.
once I get the first paycheck, I'm gonna get my first pair of jeans." And he ended up getting I remember coming into the store and seeing him all cleaned, and
Uh,
he was getting his life, together. He had dream, and his smile was just, man. I used to get positive feedback from customers, bro. Just like, he's always smiling, he's always helpful, always willing to learn new things. And exactly 7 days ago, bro, he got killed in front of his apartment that he had just gotten. He made enough money to put down on an apartment that he had been at for 36 hours, and he got murdered. And I and it's just so heartbreaking, to know that this kind of things go on in the inner city, man. There's a lot of, people trying to make it out, homeboy. There's a lot of people that all they need is an opportunity.
yeah.
It's all That's all they need, and not people's judgments, you know? They just need an opportunity, And I just wanna, invite people to go out there and see it for yourselves. It's a real struggle, and there's people with real problems, and so it's been a humbling experience opening up United Market in a food desert in the inner city. It's changed my life in so many ways. Um, it's changed my definition of service. Really, it's really not just about making a profit, or really just making a sale.
Yeah, I
Um,
think, for a lot of people too that, because I know Stephanie and I, you know our background, you know where we were raised, and, um, you know where we live, where we're at now. Like, I do see a lot of folks that, you know, I judge because I feel like you guys have no idea. You have no idea how bad it can be out there, right? Because I
uh,
didn't come from, like, where I live now, I didn't come from that, and I also feel this tension of, where is God challenging me to step up? Where am I being
mhm,
challenged to make my actions match my words? And I think it all comes down to, for, especially just believers in Christ out there that are listening, or anybody who is trying to do better in their life. If if we if we praise a God of the universe who says throughout the Bible, blessed are the poor in spirit, right? Blessed are the downtrodden, all that stuff. At some point we have to ask ourselves, has has does our heart break for what breaks God's heart, right?
Right.
And sometimes it's just like, I know me in in my youth, right? I judge people and stuff. That's because I didn't spend any time with them. You
Mhm.
know, I never
Yeah.
stopped to have a conversation with somebody who was down on hard times because it made me
Ye
feel uncomfortable, right?
You know what, man? It's crazy, but,
And
that you say that, it's so wild that you say that, but judgment comes from ignorance. It's,
oh, thank you for that.
it really does, and I mean, I was guilty of it. I had a preconceived notion of what being in an inner city was until you go out there and you see it for yourself, and it's just like, it's like the word says, right? You shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Is seeing it with your own eyes that allows you to see the reality of things, and it's not what you thought. And there's a lot more to it than you can imagine sometimes. And it
So
was
many of us too are two or three unfortunate events from the same type of thing. I mean, people, we don't know how fragile things can be, you know? And
Mhm,
so asking yourself, what would you do if you were in that position, you know? And sorry,
mhm.
again, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
No, no, you're good. Yeah, no, you're
most of
absolutely
us are
right.
closer to that than we think, right? What we
Yeah.
judge. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah,
Sorry.
because it's like not, it's like it's not from the tree of life, it's from the tree of knowledge, right? Where you think but you really don't, I think it was Jesus, and I can't remember exactly what part of Matthew where he was talking to his disciples. I don't know the Bible enough to quote it, but essentially he was, just saying to them, when, I was hungry and you fed me, I was in prison and you visited me, you know, uh, I needed a home and you let me in. Essentially, the message is what it was, and they said, "Well, Lord, when did we ever do that for you?" Right? And he said, "When you did it to the least of me, to the least of them, you did it for me." And I that passage got me to think, because I'm like, man, we could be encountering God and interactions with people, and if you knew it was him, how would you treat him, right? How would you respond? Would you respond with more kindness, with more compassion? Would you, or would you still be judgmental and condemning with people?
Yeah, bro. So beautiful, man. Um, I I wanted eh, to kind of go to what you've learned with Ozone Layer Media in having people on the show. The folks, after this episode, obviously, I want everybody to go out and look up Ozone Layer Media. But you have had so many awesome people which have shared things with you that have taught you so much on the show.
Hmm.
And so, how has how has having those conversations, and what are you looking forward to most when y'all get fired back up again, right? Um, what have you been learning? What's God been teaching you through Ozone Layer, man? And all this growth you
Man,
guys have had too. It's been insane, bro. It has
right,
absolutely been insane.
man.
It's
The
incredible.
last year has been insane. Yeah, we've worked quite a bit, man. We stay pretty consistent. Like I said, shout out to Rick. I give him his flowers, give him his credit, because I want to point that out, because I think I didn't have, like, I wouldn't have gotten to do everything that I did without all his hard work and investment. I come in and added to the platform in the sense that, I had a lot of guests and connections, and, things to add. I've learned a ton from all of our guests. Honestly, each one of them left me with at least some sort of lesson, and just being able to um, learn what's possible. That was the beautiful part of the whole experience, is that I got to see firsthand of success stories that you would otherwise see on TV, or read in a book somewhere, or see in a podcast, and having proximity to that just further reinforced to me that things are possible, you know and it was that constant affirmation that you can do whatever you set your mind to, and how powerful it is, right? To guide your thoughts and your energy to create something out of thin air. At this point, you're just willing things into existence in some way. Is incredible. If people realize, that's some of the teachings of Jesus, that he even got crucified for, is, the kingdom of God is within. You are created in the image and likeness of God, and you can, we can. It's inside of each one of us, bro.
A lot
W-
of us fail to act like that, right? Like act as if, right? Which we are. Like we're
right.
uh bought at a price, right? Like you paid the price for us. Like he said, like I want you to be I think I can't remember the verse, but you're more than conquerors, right? Greater is he who is in me, right, than he
Uh-huh.
who is in the world, right? Like it's like, and if we can just act like that, like believers,
Mhm.
like, and still
Right.
obviously the fruits of the spirit apply. Like no one's exempt from self-control,
Uh-huh.
patience. You know what I mean? Like we
Uh-huh.
have to have those fruits in our life too. But like just we if I remember going years without acting like I was the son of Christ. You know what I mean? And when I figured that out,
Mhm.
that's where it becomes like you're saying, like the worry level drops. That effortless
Mhm.
feeling that you feel when you show up to meetings, when you show up to the grand opening of United Market, when you pray before an episode on Ozone Lair, right? Like
Mhm.
it's just there's something powerful in that, and just
It
understanding who
it
you
it
are and
it,
where
it
your
is it
identity
is an
is.
it is an infinite source of potential, man. And people need to realize that you have all we all have access to it. We all have access to it, and I'm just starting to discover that. And it's taken me years. I'm 42 now. And hasn't always been like this, brother. It's been a journey. I was also a naysayer.
Mm,
I used to think, my mentality back then, man, it was just sort of preparing for the worst. But to prepare for the worst, you have to imagine it, and it's just that's horrible. That's a horrible way to live, because you know what? The opposite is also true. Miracles do happen all the time, you know? And so I try to align myself with that, because, the people that I can impact depend on it. And because I want to be more present with the time that I have left, man. I mean, life is short and predictable. We're here for it's a temporary experience, and sometimes we tend to forget that, and so I want
absolutely.
to I really want to live fully and in purpose, and in whatever I do, I want to bless, others, and I'm just excited. I'm very excited for the future, for the things that are to come. As we're passing with Ozone Layer Media, I'm for a little bit here. I'm looking at doing some cross collaborations that I'm excited about, and I'm you're gonna be seeing some of that content come through. because I
Love
do.
that.
I stay creating, brother. I stay creating, and
Absolutely.
you and I talked about some possible, cross collaborations, and I'm more than open to doing something
Yeah.
like this if we ever
There's
want
gonna
to
be a
geek out
time for
about.
that. 100%.
Bro, you just let me know, man. I'm all for it,
Well,
but and so I'm excited for a lot of the things that are coming down the pipeline, brother. Man, there I could tell you there's more grocery stores opening up. United Market number
yeah,
two is
buddy.
coming. It's coming. We've launched. We're helping launch right now. World Fresh Market 2, and then Mercado Fresco, one of the biggest Mercado Frescos in Kansas City right now, out there in Quivira and 75th. And so there's so much activity that is just incredible, and I'm excited for all of it.
Brother, I'm so glad that I got to have you on the show today, man. We now know, we now understand part of the technical challenges we overcame to do this, and um, I think what I'm most excited about you is um, not only getting to do life with you and know you and get to see this stuff happen, but see what's going to be coming in the future. And
Hmm.
as you were talking about the opportunity to collaborate with me as well, I know there's going to be a time for that. And there's some other stuff too that's been brewing up in my mind that is aside from KCBC. And so I may be taking a break here pretty soon too to prioritize
Hmm.
Vocati ad Servidium again. I also have been, you know, I told you I think I have an album that I wrote that's been sitting on my hard drive for about 18 years, and I've been playing guitar more now. So I'm gonna be getting that album out. Like there's been a lot that has been inspired by the endeavor that is KCBC, and a lot that's even
Hmm.
happened since I started talking to you and Rick. I mean, you guys,
Hmm.
it is truly like iron sharpening iron. As iron sharpens iron, one man sharpens another. The fact that I get to call you, Rick, Gabriel, John, Esau, all these people, like my friends. Like I feel like so
Hmm.
stupid, lucky, and blessed to be able to say
And
that.
shout out to the entire podcasting community,
Oh
man.
my gosh, dude. Yeah.
Those guys are dear to
Everybody.
my heart, man. For real.
Yeah. And that is why I think, we don't know what's coming next necessarily. We do have a vision for what's going to happen and what we're willing to apply ourselves with and what the people in our tribe are willing to support us in too as well. Like I've having the conversations with Stephanie about her speaking and all that stuff. And it's getting that perspective, much like you and your mom Helen gave each other in those times where it was very uncertain, right? To be able to reflect and say, hey, let me remind you of who you are, and let me remind you
Hmm.
of what we're building here and why we're building it. And sounds like we need to reconnect to the why, right? It's so big, but man,
Right. Right.
how can people engage with you, support what you're doing, and find you? And we'll make sure we drop some links in your show notes as well. But what's most important for supporting you and what you're doing as we sign out?
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. Thank you. I appreciate that opportunity. Well, they could always follow me at Dennis Ortiz Biz and Instagram, Facebook, Dennis Ortiz. If you guys want to connect on LinkedIn, I'm there as well. And obviously, we're promoting the store, United Market, out there
That's
in
right.
31st and Prospect, Linwood. We got the second store also coming to Minnesota over there where the Merc used to be, in KCK. So stay tuned for that. And we're out here just serving and food deserts, and we definitely appreciate the support and engagement of the community. My mom is the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce president now, also taking the chamber in a different direction. There's going to be some networking opportunities out there. Please show her some love, show her some support. She needs all of us to be able to make this chamber, be what it needs to be for the community. And we're just out here serving. Thank you everybody for tuning in, for listening. Stay tuned with KCBC TV. That homie Michael, he's got some wisdom, he's got some skills, he's
My brother.
multi-talented, and he's worth watching. So, thank you for having me in your platform, homeboy. If you ever need anything, just know that I'm here too. We make
Absolutely.
time for what's important, and so like I'm just super pumped for what you got coming as well, man. I'm gonna stay tuned for what you're creating, and brother, man, nothing but love and support out here, homie.
I appreciate you, man. It's been so good having you on. All right, everybody, you know what to do. Get into those links, look into what Dennis is doing. And again, please feel free to get in touch with him, and obviously myself about the show. But we'll see y'all next time. Thank you.